Hey, what's up? It's me, Larry, the Batman fan. So, I know I don't normally talk about this sort of thing, but I guess I was feeling nostalgic. So, I wanted to talk about what I feel are the best and worst cartoons. Because we all were a child at one point, and we all did watch cartoons, unless you absolutely positively hated cartoons. But I don't know any kids, that hated cartoons. So for me, the best cartoons, I'm going to do a top five, but I am going to mention some others because it's really hard to do a top five and not mention other great cartoons. And there's also going to be a worst list here. So let's not waste any time. I'm going to show you or tell you guys what I think are the best and worst cartoons. So the top five. Number one is the Batman the Animated Series from 1992. That is the greatest cartoon in my opinion. It was done so well. Mark Hamill does a really good job, and the guy that plays Batman, I forget his name, his real name. I think it might be Mark. No, Mark Hamill played the Joker, but there was another guy that played Batman. Sorry, it's not coming to me. But anyways, the show was excellent. I have all of them on the shelf over there. The show was great. The show had a lot of impact, a lot of good fighting, a very believable Batman who saves people's lives. And all in all, just a great show. It's really great. And I highly recommend if anybody out there is still young, like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and you haven't seen Batman the Animated Series, you're doing yourself a disservice. You should watch Batman the Animated Series. It's a great show. I love it. Number two is Spider-Man the Animated Series. It came out in the 90s as well. It was a very good show. Sucks the way they ended it at the end. With him, you know, I don't want to spoil it. I've seen the whole thing, so I know. But I don't want to spoil the ending for anybody who hasn't seen the ending. But Spider-Man the Animated Series was really good. It was on Fox Kids back in the day. Had a lot of fighting. The animation style of it was really creative. The bad guys that he fought, like Morbius, and the Kingpin, the Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin, Shocker, Venom, all very good. They were drawn very well and they looked good. And the action sequences in it were excellent. So I highly recommend Spider-Man the Animated Series. Number three is Looney Tunes. There is no denying that Looney Tunes is a great cartoon. I may not like the Looney Tunes show or Baby Looney Tunes, but there's no denying that Looney Tunes and Tiny Toon Adventures were excellent. And Looney Tunes, it really does resonate with even my mother. And my mother is elderly now. My father grew up watching Looney Tunes as well. So there's no denying that Looney Tunes is very impactful and is excellent. And very funny too. And it proved that you could have a cartoon with a little bit of violence in it, but didn't necessarily have to be on the level of violence as Family Guy or South Park. So it's a good show. I love it. Number four is Static Shock. Static Shock came out in the new, century, 2000, and it was just such a good action show. It just was really good. Virgil Hawkins is like this black kid that gets like these electric powers one day where he joins a gang there was another gang led by Hot Streak, but he was bullying Static Shock, Virgil Hawkins. Eventually he teamed up with another gang and he was able to get away, but he developed the power of the electricity and became what's known as a bang baby, which means you have special powers. But he decided to use his powers for good and fight crime. And it was really good. It's a shame that the show only lasted 4 years. Imagine if the show had run for like another 5 or 6 seasons. It would have had more than 3 seasons of it. But all in all, I was satisfied with that show and thought it was really good. Even the music in it was pretty awesome. Had a little hip hop music in it later on in the season, so it was good. I loved it. And number 5 is X-Men the Animated Series. X-Men the Animated Series was excellent. It was so good. I mean, it went on for 5 seasons. Just a masterpiece of a show. The good X-Men fighting the bad X-Men, kicking ass and taking names. You know, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, Rogue, Professor Xavier, and Nightcrawler. All excellent. And Jean Grey, of course. It's just a really good show. It had a lot of good comic book art style. Excuse me. And all this other stuff. You know. And other cartoons that I think were really good. There's one that was on PBS that I loved as a kid. And that's Arthur. I thought Arthur was very good. Had a lot of good morals in the show. About not bullying people, being kind one to another, and sharing is caring, things like that. And Arthur went on from 1996 to 2022 before it ended. It's amazing how PBS had Arthur last that long. It was the most successful cartoon that they ever made. And Arthur was actually really good. It was an aardvark. I think that the Ninja Turtles show from the late 80s, early 90s was good. And the one that Fox Box did was very good. Don't like the Nickelodeon Ninja Turtles though. Scooby-Doo. I thought that Batman Beyond was excellent. I thought that the Batman from the early 2000s, that was good. I liked Iron Man, the cartoon. I liked The Tick. I thought that was a good cartoon. Ultimate Muscle, Beast Wars, Transformers, which was the name of it, or just Beast Wars for short. Transformers from the 80s, He-Man, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, and Recess, and Tailspin. And those are some of my honorable mentions for the best cartoons. Now, the top 5 worst cartoons of all time. Number 1 worst cartoon of all time that I personally fucking hate with a flaming passion, and I'm sure most of y'all can agree with me, is Caillou. I hated that miserable bastard. That 5-year-old little brat was the worst cartoon. And the thing is, it aired on PBS back in the early 2000s. Caillou was a spoiled brat who didn't give a fuck about his sister or his parents. He just wanted what he wanted whenever he wanted it. You know, when they prepared a good meal for him with vegetables, he said, no, I want cookies instead. Whenever the mom and dad would try to give him a bath and he didn't want to take a bath, he would hop out of the bathtub. Excuse me. He would hop out of the bathtub and run out the room. And then when they put him back in the bathtub, he'd throw his toys against the bathtub wall. He was just a spoiled brat. He was mean to his sister. He disrespected his parents, which is against God's will. It's a sin to go against your parents. So all in all, do I like Caillou? No. I hated Caillou. I thought it was one of the worst cartoons ever made. Number 2, this may piss some of y'all off. I don't care. I hate Phineas and Ferb. I do not like Phineas and Ferb. They are a bunch of dumb, dim-witted assholes. And they are stupid. They don't make any sense. they treat their cousin Candace, I believe it was her cousin. They treat her like shit. They're rebellious. They're obnoxious. The jokes in the show are not funny. And overall, I don't like them. That's all I can really say. And for Disney standards, they really lowered the bar, man. They made a lot of excellent cartoons back in the 90s, and then 2000 came around. It started getting worse and worse and worse. Phineas and Ferb stunk, in my opinion. At number 3, adding to the worst cartoons, I thought that Brandy and Mr. Whiskers that was on the Disney Channel was a terrible cartoon. It sucked. It wasn't good like The Proud Family in the early 2000s. It wasn't good like, you know, Kim Possible. Kim Possible, I will say, still had some good, was good, you know, it was good enough. It was adequate. But not Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. Mr. Whiskers is just a lazy ass who like to sit around and smell his stinky feet and live in a treehouse with a bra and panties, like, and sleep in a bra and panties or whatever. And Brandy's like this rat, I believe. One of them was a rabbit, the other one I think was a rat. And she was like always picking up after him, doing shit for him. It was never doing anything in return, never really helping out that much. Just being an annoying little prick. Not a good cartoon at all. Just boring and lame and dumb and not that funny. And number 4 is Teen Titans Go. Ugh. I mean, even SpearDude21 will agree with me, even though we don't really like each other. He will at least acknowledge the fact that Teen Titans Go is a disgrace. It is so bad. The original show, Teen Titans, was great. But then when you take the original show, you mix it in a blender with piss and shit, and then you add a little chocolate syrup with a crappy cherry topping, then you get a colostomy bag, you know, and you get like a shit shake. It tastes disgusting and just, it's not good. And that's what Teen Titans Go is. It's a disgrace. It's not good. It's not funny. It doesn't have the same action or charisma as the original show. And it sucks. It's not good. I don't like it at all. I don't even like the art style of it. The art style of it's pathetic. It's like all pink and colorful and everything. And that's not what Teen Titans is supposed to be. Teen Titans is supposed to be based off a comic book. It's supposed to have a more darker tone and grittier tone and look good. And it doesn't look like that in Teen Titans Go. So I hated that show. It was terrible. And the last cartoon that I want to mention that I think is a disgrace, that some people would probably agree with me on, is Adventure Time. That show sucks. Okay, those two are the most annoying characters ever. Yes, there is SpongeBob, which I do believe SpongeBob is overrated. But SpongeBob still had some funny moments in the show. Whereas Adventure Time doesn't have funny moments in it. It just makes you want to punch both Jake and the dog. Unless the dog is Jake. I only watched a few episodes, guys, so forgive me if I don't remember the names of the two characters. I just know that they're both dweebs, they're both idiots, and they both suck, and the show sucks, and that it's not a good show at all. The art style is decent, but everything else about the show is just annoying and cringeworthy. And sucks major balls. And it's not a good show at all. And I really do wish that Cartoon Network would stop making episodes of Adventure Time, because you suck. Both of the characters suck. The video games even suck. The ones that were on the Nintendo 3DS, they suck, man. I think there was one or two on the Nintendo Wii U, which I never bought because it doesn't interest me, because I hate that show. So, Adventure Time is a disaster of a show. It needs to quit. They need to stop making episodes of Adventure Time. They're on like the 7th season, I believe, of that show. And I can't understand why they can continue that show, because that show sucks. Okay? These kids that are 5 to 10, 11, 12 years old, they still think that show is good. And I don't get why, man. They shouldn't think that. Because I will never show them Adventure Time and say, oh yeah, this is a good cartoon. I'm going to show them some good cartoons. So those are some of the worst cartoons in my opinion. There were a few other cartoons I didn't mention for the best list. Tom and Jerry is another one. Tom and Jerry is excellent. And I also do think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a good cartoon. And stuff like Death Note, which was more for a mature audience, was a good show. And I don't like Pokemon, but I understand why a lot of people like Pokemon. So I could put that on the best list as well. And stuff like Bike Mice from Mars and Anatole were excellent cartoons as well. So anyways, that's all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it's not normally what I talk about. I do talk about gaming videos, or I rant on the bad people on YouTube or on the internet in general. But this is just something fun that I thought I'd get off my chest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Peace.